Good morning, Patrick Archer here in Dealey Plaza. Come to talk about the assassination of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, which occurred here about 3 years ago. That would be 57 years. And I'll just show you the scene. That X there marks the spot where the first shot hit the president. And about 50 feet down the street there is a second X where the second shot hit. Now, the president's assassination is on a film called the Zapruder film. It was filmed by Mr. Zapruder. And he owned a business on this corner here in that building. That's Mr. Zapruder's building. And that day, he cleared his building. He had a business there, like I think it was a sportswear business, maybe a fabrication business where they made sports clothing or something. I don't know exactly what he did. But he had a business there. He cleared the building, came out and watched the president filmed the president in 8mm color film, I believe. Now, right next to, across the street is the Texas School Book Depository. That's where Lee Oswald worked. And over there is the grassy knoll. And there, again, is the X in the road, right there, where the first shot hit. Now, the Zapruder film shows the assassination. If you can get a good version of it, I looked it up on the internet recently, and it was all fuzzy and blurry. It's not like the one I've seen before, which was in fairly good quality. But on the Zapruder film, if you can get a good quality version of it, you can see the first shot creates the throat wound where the Adam's apple is and the president. And you can tell it's an exit wound because it's large and it is has flesh protruding. Now, there's only two ways that bullet could have entered the president's body to create that wound. And that would be through the upper left trapezius or the upper right trapezius. But we can tell it's had to enter the upper left trapezius because if it had entered the upper right trapezius, the bullet would have gone out and probably hit the driver of the limousine. But instead, the bullet went in the upper left trapezius, exited the throat, and went into Governor Connolly's back. In fact, it went through Governor Connolly and hit his arm and then ended up in his leg. That's where the bullet ended up. Now, you can trace that trajectory back. It's not going to go to the Texas School Book Depository. In fact, that would have been an impossible shot. That would have caused more effect than you see on the film, a much more effect. No, you can trace it back right up to Mr. Zapruder's building. One of those second, third, or fourth floor windows, most likely. And that did create a problem because that first shot missed the kill shot. He missed the kill shot, so that required a backup shooter to come in and play, which is what you saw from the grassy knoll. That was the kill shot where the bullet hit the president in the right front crown of the head, and it knocked his head back. So the problem with that first shot missing the kill shot was that it messed up the frame on Lee Oswald. If it hit the head, if it made the kill shot, the head shot, no one would have been able to tell the difference between the bullet coming from Zapruder's building or the Texas School Book Depository. That'd have been now the frame up on Lee Oswald would have been perfect, but it wasn't because he missed the kill shot. The first shooter did. And if Lee Oswald had gotten a lawyer and the lawyer had called in witnesses, coroners, gotten autopsy reports and examined the witnesses, it would have really messed up their story. It might have very well proved Oswald's innocence. So it made it necessary for the plan to be successful. It became necessary to take Oswald out to kill Oswald. And who better to kill Oswald than the man who flubbed the first shot? And that would have been Jack Ruby. And everything Jack Ruby did from from that time of the assassination on to the killing of Oswald and after, screams mens rea. Knowledge of guilt, guilty mind. That's what it does. So there's an author, he wrote a book about a woman named Dorothy Kilgallen who was really investigating this assassination. She was a popular person back then, a very well-known celebrity, but she was also a reporter and a very good writer. So an author named Mark Shaw wrote a book called The Reporter Who Knew Too Much, I believe. His name is Mark Shaw, and he was giving a talk at the Allen Public Library not long ago. And he claimed that Oswald was in the that Ruby, that is, was in the Dallas Morning News watching the assassination with witnesses. And he was referring to the transcript from Jack Ruby's trial, witness testimony. So that kind of blew my idea, my belief that Ruby fired the first shot. But then I go and look at the court transcript, which Mr. Shaw was referring to, and it turns out that nobody testified that Ruby was at the Dallas Morning News at the time of the assassination. There was testimony that he was there before the assassination. There was testimony that he was there after the assassination. But there was no one testified that he was there during the assassination. Now the Dallas Morning News is 5 blocks away, down this street. Beyond that coppice of trees is the Dallas Morning News office. Now, it doesn't make sense that they'd be watching the president from there. Why not just get out of the building, come down a few blocks, and see him just drive down right by you? It doesn't make any sense. So, no, they weren't watching the assassination from... Ruby was not at the Dallas Morning News watching the assassination. Ruby was in that building, most likely, I believe, firing that first shot and flubbing it. Anyway, that's my take on the assassination. I'm not going to go beyond there, speculate. I could speculate on who the shooter in the grassy knoll was, but I won't, because